So previously, I made a video ranking every Assassin's Creed game based on the ghosting playstyle. It was really fun doing the tier list, and so I wanted to create another one. This time, I'm gonna be ranking the AC Protagonists based on how likely they are to ghost missions. So this means them going into missions and only assassinating targets and being undetected. This is not about their in-game abilities and skills. I'll be basing it on their motives, personalities, and how I think they would act. Also, disclaimer, these are just my opinion and just for fun. Let's start with Altaïr. Altaïr is S tier just because by the mid to end game of AC1, he kind of fully understood the creed. Like for example, when he was supposed to assassinate Robert de Sab, but it turned out to be Maria, and Maria was ready to die. But Altaïr told her, "You're not my target." And that was basically Altaïr doing ghost stealth. And so I imagine after that moment, canonically, Altaïr would only assassinate his targets when there is really no other option. For example, in the last parts of the game where he had to fight a bunch of soldiers. But in actual stealth missions, I think he'll ghost as much as he can. Next is Ezio. So this guy has 3 games, and so I decided to just take the average. So in AC2, he was very angry, so it was less likely that he would ghost, and so that's like a C tier material. But in Brotherhood, maybe B or even A tier. But then comes Revelations, and this guy just really didn't care by then. Remember how Ezio ended up blowing up the city beneath the cave? And also when he burned down the whole dock? Then I guess when Yusuf died, there was also that moment where he and the assassins just destroyed the whole army. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna put him in B tier. He may or may not ghost depending on his mood, so watch out. Up next is Connor. I'm gonna put him in C tier. The reason for this is because Connor was fueled by rage and anger towards Charles Lee, right? So playing as him, it felt just right to hack your way to objectives. And I think this is really how he does most of the things. And so if he is on a mission and sees Templars or other enemies, he won't hesitate to end them. And if he is in a really bad mood, I can see him just going into a fort and taking out all the guards just to let off steam. Alright, next is Grandfather Edward. Edward was a pirate, and so he probably killed more than a few people and probably didn't feel bad after. I'm gonna put him in B tier just beside Ezio. I think if he was on a stealth mission, he wouldn't go out of his way to kill enemies. He would just go through vegetation and just try to get past them. But killing is something he wouldn't shy away from and wouldn't really hesitate to do. So yeah, Edward, B tier. Next is Shay. Shay I think is a perfect A tier. I say this because Shay's action in Rogue felt like they were out of responsibility and regret. He joined the Templars and fought the assassins because he thinks it was the right thing to do to save the world. I mean, he even showed mercy and a bit of mourning, I guess, when he killed Hope and his other former allies. So I think when he's going on a stealth mission, he will probably try to prevent and avoid unnecessary casualties and remain undetected. For Arno, I'm gonna put him beside Shay in A tier. Arno I think has the skill to ghost in stealth missions since he is like one of the stealthiest assassin there is. However, he's kind of stubborn and always in a rush, and so I think there may be moments where he would let himself get spotted just to quickly finish a mission. Or maybe on a bad day, he would just assassinate his way through guards until he reached the target. I also would like to note that by the end of Unity, Arno became a bit of a stoic, I guess, if that's the right term. Like he became an atheist, I guess. No higher power sits in judgment of us. No supreme being watches to punish us for our sins. That's what he says. So while he has the skill to ghost, I think there may be times where he would just not bother looking for an alternate path and just kill his way through enemies. Next are the Frye twins. First, let's do Jacob. I'm gonna put this guy in B tier just above Edward. Jacob doesn't seem like a killer, you know. You look at him and you just see a jolly fellow, but he's deadly. And because of his brash nature and irresponsibility, I guess, he is likely to end up harming people. I mean, in Syndicate, we see that his actions are somewhat negatively impacting London, and it's only because of Evie why everything is not falling apart. And so yeah, he may have the ability to ghost, but his brash nature would really just end up with him having to deal with non-targets. For Evie, I'm gonna put her in S tier beside Altaïr. I think Evie's personality just screams perfect stealth. She plans ahead, never really rushes in, she focuses on the objectives and the most efficient way to get to it. And also, if you guys remember in the Jack the Ripper DLC, I felt like Evie's playstyle in the DLC was leaning towards non-lethal. Like, her fear combos are all non-lethal, which may indicate that, she doesn't really kill enemies unless she has to. So yeah, Evie S tier. Next is Bayek. Okay, I'm gonna put my man Bayek at the bottom since I feel like he is less likely to ghost. This is considering that we are talking about the mid to end game Bayek. If you're a member of the Order of the Ancients or just someone who prays at the innocents, this guy will hunt you down and make sure that you are buried beneath the desert sands. Bayek is a walking death machine that any man or woman who has ties with the Order should fear. He will mow down guards who try to protect his targets and just annihilate anything in his way. However, I'd like to note that if we're talking about post-game Bayek, he would likely ghost. Remember what I said, when we assassinate, we only assassinate those who deserve it. So in that case, if we consider that, Bayek could be S tier. Okay, Kassandra. Kassandra I think should be in D tier, below Bayek. The reason for this is because Kassandra for most of Odyssey was a mischievous, a mercenary. And it felt like she wasn't really bothered with killing enemies, whether they are soldiers or just other mercenaries. So when in a stealth mission, I think she would do the quickest way possible so she could get paid quickly. And since she is a demigod capable of taking 10 people at once, there is really no reason for her to ghost missions. Next one is Eivor. I'm gonna put her in D tier below Kassandra. Similar to Kassandra, I don't think Eivor has any reason to ghost as well, especially since she is a Viking and they would prefer the glory of winning. Like at the end of the Hidden One quest in Valhalla, Eivor rejected the Hidden Ones because she wanted to celebrate and show her glory loudly and not just hide it from the world. So while I do love ghosting in Valhalla, I don't think Eivor is really the type of person who would ghost. She would want everyone in the area to see how she defeats her enemies and let them sing songs of praises to her. Last is Basim. Okay, we'll only talk about Mirage Basim, alright? Basim I think should be in high B tier. I think he would try to go through missions, however he is less likely to hesitate assassinating a guard if it's really needed. Like, I remember in the mission where you free Ali's men, like I think it was a Madikwar mission, there was a cutscene there that showed Basim assassinating a random guard just so he could watch the events happening in the prison's courtyard. That scene bothered me so much since I was ghosting and Basim just decided to kill a random guard in a cutscene. And so yeah, Basim, high B tier because of that. And that's it.